process of reviewing those, so once we've finished reviewing those, we'll get those to you, Jeff.
As-bills? Oh.
Yep, those are for all the water main work. Contractor also needed to provide a few other, they didn't have as-bills for the well 4, because I know we revised the connection point on well 4, and they didn't have the revised line E, which was the crossing underneath the railroad. They didn't have the as-bills for those sent to us, but they said that they have them, they just need to send them to us. So once I have all those together, I'll be able to review. So they are substantially completing the project. The only items that they have left coming up are restoration, so they will complete all the restoration as the weather improves, hopefully next month. Be nice, if it gets a little bit warmer in February, but they are aware that they should be able to finish everything probably March at the very latest. On the tank project, the contractor's substantial completion date was December 1st. They did not meet substantial completion. They had the tank filled and sterilized and bacteriologically tested so that everything was fine to put water in that tank and get it into service to supply to the town. That was done the week after the 1st, so it was in the beginning part of December.
On that note, now were they going because they had asked because their man was out of town or something, and I took care of that, and they said that that would be reimbursed to us?
Yes. Jeff, I think what you're asking is,
On
you
the bottom.
haven't received reimbursement for the testing?
Right.
Right. So the contractor will, what you need to do is, I can get you a contact name of the contractor to get you reimbursed whatever time, whatever dollars you spent on getting those tests done.
Yeah, which I'll have copies and share those too, the testing charges and all that.
Yep, and I have it all in writing, so
Yeah.
there
Okay.
shouldn't be any issues getting the town reimbursed for those.
Okay.
So the tank was filled, it was sterilized, tested, everything passed. It was not done by the substantial completion date because the water main was not in place to the tank. So the contractor was delayed in order to get that filled. So it is of our opinion that there shouldn't be any repercussions with Phoenix because of that. They were delayed by the other contractor getting the water to the tank. That all has been completed. Jeff has transitioned the water from the old tank, the supply from the old tank to the new tank, so the town is operating on the new tank right now. He's drained the old tank, so it's sitting empty, waiting to be taken down. And as far as the demolition of the existing tower, that's tentatively supposed to be scheduled sometime in late February. That was also delayed. And that was one of the items that the contractor had to meet for substantial completion because they couldn't fill the other tank, they couldn't take down the existing tank. So that, once the demolition is done with the old tank, they will put up the site fence. They wanted to wait on the site fence so that the demolition didn't cause any damage to the new fence. And they are also going to do the site restoration, the drive to the tank, and then any other restoration work that they need to, and then they'll be able to close out their project as well. That's all anticipated to be done before April 1st. Any questions on those?
Question, Walter. Dixie,
You said April 1st?
Around April 1st, yes. And if the weather cooperates, they'll be done sooner.
Right.
Is what you can't move the dirt very easily right now, and when it gets soft, then it's even harder to move sometimes to get neat. So once it starts to dry out, they'll be out there and they'll get all the restoration taking place. I gave everyone a letter. If you don't have a letter in front of you it's addressed from Westler to the town council. The letter summarizes some history that we've had with our subcontractor, our subconsultant, who was the inspector for the elevated water storage tank. They, on November 21st, submitted actually it was prior to that, in October, they submitted a letter to us stating that they had an overage on their contract. And the overage was, they admitted that it was a miscommunication on their part within their office. We asked for more detail in the letter because they are claiming some additional funds for their overage. They provided additional details to us in a November 21st letter with a whole lot more detail and explanation on the additional charges that they're asking for. We responded in mid-December back to them and asked for them to provide a revised amount, because we could not justify all of the charges that they wanted back to the town. So they followed up with a phone call, and the phone call was a discussion between myself and TIC. They still stuck by their November 21st letter and felt that their work on site that they spent in overage of the contract was justified, and that it provided a beneficial good end to the project as far as the tank goes so far for the town. Wessler, in the letter, as I stated, keeps that position. We feel that the inspector was needed on site at the times that they did go over on the contract, that they provided a good end result to this tower and to your tank. And if they weren't there, then the town would probably have gotten a less quality of product. Some of the substantial issues in the letter that they identified were, and I can just talk about a few of them. One of them was the logo. I know how important the logo was to the town. We had some issues with the contractor providing too small of a logo. The placement of the logo on the tank was also some coordination that took place. And then there was some issues with the painting on the tank as well, where they had some issues called blushing. And the blushing would have compromised the coatings on the tank, where it would have had to been recoated sooner. So our contractor was on site for those items, as well as supervising their welders when their welders were on site as well, which caused some more time. So the ultimate content in the letter is the ultimate end result that we recommend is we're going to, of the total amount, which was $5,611.65, which I did mention that it was a miscommunication on our sub-consultant's part in their office. Of that $5,611.65, they have agreed to absorb $346.50, which was a charge that they had for, we didn't feel a progress meeting attendance by 2 of their personnel. So they're removing that, and they're also going to come back and they're going to do a final walkthrough inspection at no cost to the town as well on the tank. There were approximately 15 to 20 items that they identified before they left site that needed to be addressed by the contractor in order to finish out the project, in their opinion. So those 2 things are going to be absorbed by TIC, and the resulting additional fee to the town is $3,840.15.
Now, this would come out of our overage, or no?
It would come out of the overage, yes. Can I answer any questions on that?
Walter, you got a question?
No.
Dixie?
No.
No questions? Okay.
I like it, but
Is
is
there
the guy still living in Evansville?
No,
Was
this
this
is
a
this
different
one.
one? Yeah, I'm still mad.
This, is there a motion then to go ahead and pay the $3,840.15 to, on the TIC contract for the additional work that they did?
Do they not have to get that approved? I mean, Didn't they call you guys first before we went ahead with this? I'm not understanding exactly why they didn't question.
The situation is not typical of our relationship, because we've had a long-lasting relationship with this sub-consultant for doing a lot of the tank inspection
Okay,
projects that we have. The item that is of significance is that they miscommunicated in their office.
so that's our fault?
It came
Okay,
after
for
the
it.
fact. Well, the way that if the project would have gone normally, and they would have run out of funds sooner because they were addressing all these things up front, I would have brought it to the town's attention sooner because I would have known about it sooner. And then we would have made a decision before the fact of, hey, our inspector's gone through their budget already, their scope, without having the contractor completed the project. Do you want him to continue, or do we want to just let the contractor finish out the rest of the project? Unfortunately, it didn't occur that way, because then the town could have said, we want the inspector there, or we don't want the inspector there, to have the choice up front, which is not an option. It's after the fact, unfortunately. However, the benefits that our sub-consultant being on site with the contractor, we feel is justified based on the level of detail that they provide and input that they provide on their professional level to get this tank to where it needed to be for the town to have a long-lasting.
Your decision and their decision, right? Is that what were you guys, it's your decision too? You approved it?
It's our decision too, because we're the TIC, who's the sub-consultant, works under us. So we're the ones ultimately responsible because we hired them to do our inspection. We're not qualified to do it. We need to hire somebody else to do the inspection on the tank.
Does this happen a lot?
No, this is the first time this has ever happened with this subcontractor.
So you guys, Western won't absorb this problem?
We have worked with TIC to work out the details with the progress meeting that they wanted to get paid for and the final inspection that they wanted to do.
And we saved, what, $307?
$346.50, and then they wanted $1,425 to come back and do a final inspection on the thing too. So we've worked that out with our sub-consultant. We feel like the town received a great benefit with the other items that our sub-consultant did. And unfortunately, those overages needed to happen in order for the town to get a good project, and they weren't.
So we wouldn't have gotten a good project if they hadn't paid the extra money. That's what I'm hearing.
I can elaborate. No, I would agree with everything you're saying. I do. But Andrew and I talked a lot about this toward the end of last week. And I don't think the TIC handled this from a sort of business perspective, from an internal sort of best practices in doing business with clients manner. They messed it up. They did. Be angry about that. I'm angry about that. Andrew knows I'm angry about that.
So we get stuck with it.
But here's the way I think you can look at it if you choose to, and I think it's a fair way to view this. I think what is most aggravating about this is TIC did what they were supposed to have done.
Mm-hmm.
They agreed ahead of time they were going to do all of that for $30,000. They do it. They're finished. They come back around after the fact and say, hey, can you give us some more money, please? Yeah. And, the initial reaction on the town's part is, and ought to be, look, you agreed to do this for $30,000. That was the deal, right? And now you want more money. We're not going to give it to you. But if we rewind and think about how this should have gone, TIC, had they done a better job, would have come to Westler back while the project was ongoing, and they were doing inspection services, and they would have said at that time, like every owner in the world wants them to, and every engineer in the world wants them to, this has gotten outside the scope of what we anticipated when we did the job. We're having to do some extra things, and here they are, and here's what it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. And Andrew would have come here and explained that to you, And I don't know for sure that you would have said, well, yeah, we get it.
Right.
We authorize the additional expense, but I suspect you would have. It would have made more sense then, though, because you would have been doing it knowing what you were going to be paying for instead of having a bill handed to you after the fact.
Yeah.
So they messed that up, and it really, it's bad business. But in fairness to PIC and to Wessler, if Andrew's sitting here saying to you, they did the work that they claim they did, and the work they did ultimately was work that needed to be done, and was work that did spill outside of the scope of what they had anticipated to begin with, and did result in the inspections being done in a thorough manner, ensuring that we got the end product that we contracted for, then I believe, I believe Andrew, when he says all that to us, that that is what happened. And I would have believed Andrew if he had come to us while this was going on at TIC's request instead of after the fact. And so, they started out with this $5,600. We talked about it and looked at it. I think, I'm speaking for Andrew, he can interrupt if he wants or tell you a different story if he wants, but here's what I believe happened. I think that it was awkward for him to have to go back to TIC and beat them down on their price. I think he did that. I think despite the fact that they wanted to be paid this full $5,600, it was only through his efforts saying to them that that's not going to fly. You're entitled to more, but you're not entitled to that much. I think he probably had to say to them in so many words, you screwed up and you put yourself in a bad negotiating position. I think because of all of that in his efforts, they conceded to reduce that amount by the $1,800 or so that they did. And so I got comfortable ultimately talking with Andrew that this is a fair result. I'm not at all happy with how they did it. I'm not happy with the way they conducted their business, but I don't question that they're qualified inspectors. At the end of the day, what we wanted them to do was make sure that,
Right.
and I think that probably happened. And so, leave a bad taste in your mouth, it should. Can you be critical of TIC? You can. In a perfect world, I think when they spent additional time having to, I keep looking at it because that's where the tank is, but I can't actually see it. They had to spend additional time because some of the welds on the tank were defective at the shop, right? And then because of that, they wanted to make sure that welds that were being done on site were going to be done correctly. So they went to extra effort to make sure that the welders doing the work here were qualified and were going to do a good job. Phoenix ought to pay for that. If the world worked the way we'd like for it to, Phoenix ought to pay for that. But it's a little too late for that to have happened. A couple of other things that caused them to do more work were because Phoenix didn't do it as well as they wanted. Now, it's never perfect, but this is pretty good in the overall scheme of things. We talk about a $1 million project, and we're looking at an adjustment of $4,000, $3,800 or something like that. And there's not been a job like this that's ever been done where there aren't examples of expenses incurred by an owner that really should have been borne by a contractor or a supplier or a sub or somebody, or even an engineer for that matter in some cases, or an attorney probably in some cases, where the owner's money gets spent wastefully because things don't go just perfectly. But we're not looking at $100,000.
Well, it's not,
Yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you. It's not like we are paying for something we did not get. We got everything that they're asking us to pay for. The biggest sin made here was poor communication.
It was, and the fact that some of it we got,
Yeah.
but we needed it because Phoenix messed up a few things.
Yeah.
But Phoenix messed up a few things. Phoenix didn't mess up
No.
a 20% overrun on the project. It was something that kind of falls within the whatever sloppiness there is in a contract like this of this size. And so it's not a great thing. It's nothing to celebrate. I do think it's within the realm of just what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of owners, a lot of places would have said that $5,600, we don't care. And we've got the money, let's pay it to them. And what's happened here is Andrew has worked to make this as good as it can be made and saved us that $1,800 that these folks really, really wanted and fought hard to get, and they're not going to get it. So, I don't know if that helps or not, but
No.
that's not to make you feel better, it's to make you, if you're inclined, justify authorizing this expense to be paid, I guess. I do think that's how the story goes.
Wessler won't. Since you guys hired these people, you guys won't absorb that, will you?
We,
Since you knew, that's your, I mean, you guys hired these subcontractors.
right,
You use them all the time. This is the very first time this has ever happened. So I feel maybe Wessler should take part of this.
and it's not quantified on here directly what Wessler is absorbing, what we have, we worked it out with our sub, that a portion of this, we've worked it out between us and them on how we can reduce their fee, you know, they've absorbed some of it, we've absorbed some of it. Now, as Lee mentioned, the items that we've left in there for the town to pay for are, we feel are justified of getting a great project. They're things that ensured that TIC did, that ensured that the town would get a good end to the project.
And you're sure they did that?
They did that, yes. There's a reason why we've worked with them for so long. This is also an unfortunate circumstance that they had this miscommunication on their part, and they didn't let us know about it until after, you know, it was after the fact. It was well beyond the point of when they should have let us know, when they were out of funds.
And I guess the question, you know, Penny, to ask on that is, if we believe we got the service that they say they provided, or is the town going to refuse to pay them because they didn't ask for it when they were supposed to?
I think it's poor business.
It's bad business. It
Poor
absolutely
business
is.
on both
I-
your Wessler and,
Not meaning to dress that up, but if we got what they claim they provided, then
How
can
do
you
we
justify
know?
paying them? Well, because I do trust that Wessler knows what they did.
I do
I
know
do-
that the blushing
I do believe
part,
that.
I know the blushing part, because,
Lee mentioned
the guy talked
the
to
welders. Phoenix was using a welder that was not certified, and this was on site. And prior to that, we had a defective weld issue in the shop before the steel was delivered to site. Our inspector caught that, and the contractor paid for it. They made the mistake. They redid all the steel. They bought all new steel and they re-welded everything. When all the steel got to site, and our inspector found that the contractor was using somebody who was not certified, they spent the extra time to make sure that that welder was qualified, because they were doing an on-site qualification, that he was doing it the right manner. It turned out that he was, but they spent the time to make sure that he did not make any mistakes that would have resulted in another delay or another cost, you know, for, you know, a correction during the construction process.
Jeff Downey, you were there every day, I mean, you don't have a problem with the 3,800?
No, they worked with them. I was concerned with the part that I was concerned with when they said the inspector was my main concern was the welds at the plant.
Okay.
And then that's what my main concern was.
I mean, conserves the town's money, that's all I'm saying. And I think it's poor. Poor way to run a business.
duly noted.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. But is there a motion to pay the $38,40.15 to TIC? It would not, this comes out of our overage on the grant. Is there a motion to do that?
That's all.
Is there a
Yes, I
second?
have one thing,
Okay,
this,
yeah.
this was, Andrew and I talked about this, and this may help somewhat, and I want kind of this on the record too. We talked about them coming back if they needed to, more than one time, to do inspections if they were sort of punch list items. And we took that 1425 out, and the deal was they would do a final inspection, which you mentioned. But if they discover items that still need to be corrected, they'll come back
We will ensure that
They will
they
come
will come
back
back and the
until it's
contractor-
done.
And the contractor will fix it.
Okay, and we're not going to incur any additional charges. If this is approved, TIC is not going to submit a request for any additional.
You
money.
shouldn't have any additional fees, because the items that have been found have been found. We want to make sure that they are checked, that they are corrected, and anything after that point, it will be resolved in a means other than the town's dollars.
And so that was important, because if they have to come back 3 more times in order to get this done, to inspect what corrective work Phoenix may be required to do, then I don't want them coming back here again to the town and saying, oh, now we want even more money, because I consider that still within the scope of what we contracted for, and we're conceding on this point, so this is it, folks. And I thought that was important to kind of have that understanding as well.
The part of that does include like, I'm supposed to meet with them Thursday, right? That's, isn't it? The inspectors I'm supposed to.
They're gonna be here on Thursday afternoon to do the final inspection, and they've asked for somebody, just safety aspect, if anything goes wrong while they're up there, it's only one individual, they just want somebody present to be on site for, call 911.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
It's
Well,
a safety procedure.
I told you, go out to the fire department, just look out the window. Anyway, but anyway, I mean, they're still in contact and they are coming back, so I mean, I agree with poor business practices, but they
Yeah,
are.
when we pay for it.
Okay, well, we do have a motion on the floor to pay the 3840.15 additional. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there a discussion? I think we have a discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okey-dokey, duly noted. Okay,
You voted nay. Yes, I did.
Thank you very much.
Additional scope items.
Additional scope items, so in the town's efforts to address things that have come up, that they found during construction, as far as operationally or equipment-wise or infrastructure. We've been working with, Wesler's been working with Jeff to identify additional items in town that can be paid for and completed with the additional monies that will be left over after both contracts have finished, the contract A and contract B. And then as Wesler's contracts finished and Kenna's, all the parties that are involved in the 2 contracts are paid out, there will be a loan balance left, loan grant balance left, that we're estimating to be somewhere between $50,000 and $70,000 is what's going to be left. The reason I can't give you a final number is I've been working and striving with SRF and Okra to give me good numbers on what's left, and they have historically taken several months sometimes longer than that, to get payment to the contractors who get frustrated. So if things happen instantaneously, which we would all like, I would have a better grasp on it. But I'm still working with both funding agencies as to find out how much money is exactly going to be left, because in our correspondence with Jeff, we've come up with a priority list of things that the town can address with the money that's going to be left over. And I don't know, Jeff, you want me to talk about some of the...
Yeah, that saves me my haircut.
Okay. So one of the items that came up during construction was, it was found that well number 4, one of your groundwater wells, was found after it was cleaned and rehabbed. The well produced a lot more water than it had originally. So the town would like to put that well into its supply, the water supply. In order to do that, and to discourage discoloration of the water as well as deterioration, because the water supply here in town is acidic, a phosphate system needs to be added to that well. And that was one thing that we had talked about with Jeff and with the town to add to well number 4. The estimated cost for that is around $5,000 with some engineering on our part to make sure that it's sized correctly and provides the right dosage and the right equipment. So that's one of the things that we're looking at for the priority list. The communication between well number 4 and the treatment building also went south during the course of the 2 projects. It stopped working. So the alternative to that, the communication right now is through a wire, a telephone line that runs all the way from well 4 all the way out to the treatment building. We've gotten a quote from a contractor, the contractor who did the mains work, and they have a radio system that can be put in to communicate between the treatment building and the well, so that when water's needed, the radio system will kick on the well to provide water to the town, and then shut off as it fills up in the elevated water storage tank. So those are 2 of some of the main items. Jeff has also worked with our office in identifying valves that are non-operational in town. If you ever have, heaven forbid, you have any water main breaks or anything in the future, having proper isolation in your system will help you tremendously in outages with customers. So we've identified 7, 8 valves, I think, in town that need to be replaced just because they just don't, when you open them and you close them, they don't operate. Some of them we found that they have bent stems on them, so the stems are bent, that prevents proper operation. There is also, on well number 4, there is a hydrant. We found that the hydrant stopped working, the operational valve on the hydrant. So Jeff has no means to obtain water samples from that well, and we need a water sample in order to properly design and size the phosphate feed system. So, and for him to flush that well too, as it needs to be flushed. So a combination of valves, hydrants, the radio system, phosphate feed system were some of the main top priorities that we've been working with Jeff to line up for the additional funds that will be left over at the end of the project. And I wanted to bring those to the council's attention because I wanted to anticipate whether the town wanted to move forward with some of those. When I get a final balance on the loan and the grants that the town has, and anticipate moving forward with some change orders so that the town can do some of those with the additional funds.
Why, I'm confused as to why there could be a $20,000 difference in the slip. And you said because they're still processing payments that we've requested, they have not processed everything.
Right, and I also was in correspondence with Ken this afternoon with Jeremy, and he had informed me that if the town has to, according to their local match with the grant, the town has to spend $1,999,000 total on both contracts, which includes all the construction costs, all the fees from Westler, all the upfront fees, the legal fees, everything that is lumped into the contract. You have to spend that amount in order to be eligible for the full grant amount. And I'm in the process of verifying whether all of that money that has been spent equals or exceeds that amount. Because if it does, then the town gets to use the full $550,000 grant, basically the free money. But you have to spend that much in order to get that. If you don't, then whatever amount less, 28% of that is what the town can actually use. So as you use more, the more you get on that grant amount. So that's kind of still in determination as well, which will dictate. I estimated today that it was right around $515,000 that the town could use. Now, that's not for certain, but I'm still looking into that. Initially, I was estimating on the higher end of that, $50,000 to $70,000, for the town to use with improvements. But I'm hopeful by the next meeting that I'll have everything sorted out with the funding agencies and have everything balance-wise in agreement and in writing from them. This is how much money is going to be left, so that we can make concrete decisions which items to move forward on with the contractor.
So what do you need from us at this point?
Nothing, I guess,
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I'll anticipate, I know that the town will probably want to do these things. If not, that's fine, I just think
I
that,
think he's just wanted a
Oh, yeah.
blessing.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the council to right
It's
direction.
wonderful if we can get all that done, as much as.
Is there a time limit on it?
yes, good question. The Okra grant has to be closed out by April 30th, and that has to be, final payments have to be submitted to Okra by April 30th. If they don't get submitted by April 30th, then it causes problems. And we can anticipate that. We've already had conversations with Okra that if the town needs a time extension on their Okra grant to close everything out, it can be extended 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. And I think that's more than enough time to get that taken care of, as well as the improvements. We've already identified, and I've already got costs on every single one of the improvements that we're looking at doing, the additional scope items. And the contractor, ISI, who would be the general contractor, would be doing all the work, not the tank contractor or anybody on the tank side. Everything's on the main side with ISI, everything would be done for April 1st. So I don't anticipate any problems with an extension, but we do have that option of contacting.
So on the projects that we would, the upcoming projects, as long as we have everything done by April 1st, we have so much money we can spend beyond that.
Well, with regard to your existing contracts, what you're under contract with,
Right.
the contractors.
Right,
with
but I mean, the
us,
additional work you're talking about, we might be able to do.
You'll be able to do that. I need to get a concrete number before I advise the town, hey, you can do this, this,
Right.
and this. And I don't want to tell the contractor and approve a change order, get them started, when
Right.
the town won't be able to pay for it. So I want to make sure those funds are in place.
Yeah, right.
Then the town can start on that work immediately. You can
Okay.
start on it before April 30th, which is probably what this
Yeah.
contractor's thinking too. They want to start on it sooner than later so they get it done.
So you could have a number by our April or our February meeting.
Yes, and I'm optimistic that I'll have something sooner than that. So I will let the council know ahead of time. I'll let Jeff know. I can send it to Lee for him to see it as well, so that everybody's on the same page and is comfortable with, how much money is going to be left. And the town does not have to spend it all. You don't have to spend any extra if you don't want to. This is just leftover money in the grant and loan process that you can use
That'd be great.
for other things if you choose to. That's
Those values,
Used to.
those values.
And it's all in, and I've confirmed it with SRF, that all of it's within the scope of the original preliminary engineering report, so that the town doesn't have to go and do an amendment to that report because something's in a different area or it pertains to something completely different. Everything is related to the original report.
Yeah, I remember we included those in the PDR, just in case.
Yes.
Okay.
Under a hypothetical situation on that, if, which we'll have a heads up, obviously, on what we're going to spend, but let's just say they can replace two, but boy, there's two more that really need replaced, which I would probably call for a special meeting or whatever, because I would want to get a quote from them why they're on site with their equipment and everything, on what it would cost, and it come out of ours. If I just, needed one or two valves, and again, you guys would be fully aware of it. I would just want to get that quote why they're on site.
When he gets the quote, it'll tell in there.
Right,
It's gonna cost.
that's what I'm saying, but then I'll come back to you and say,
Yeah.
okay, we got these, but boy, I'd sure like to, or if we could just get
Well,
this
we'll have-
one more, this one more while they're here, here's their cost,
Yeah.
that would come out of our money. I mean, just,
So
okay.
we'll already have a cost figure, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
contractor will get.
I mean, you'll have plenty of heads up, but I mean, don't be surprised if I come back and say, hey, if, this is how much we got, but boy, it'd be nice to get this valve too.
Well,
So-
we definitely have to
Yeah.
do well for work. We definitely have to do the well for work.
I think that's a very
Yeah.
good interest in the water supply of the town.
Yeah, that's priority one.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, and there were 16 things that we identified as additional scope items. 9 of them were anticipating, if the dollar amount is higher on that higher end towards 70,000, 9 of them were anticipating the town could
Okay.
do. With the remaining amounts. And as Jeff mentioned, if the town has additional funds in your own budget,
Mhm.
you can have the contractor do that at the same time and not have to pay them for remobilization or anything like that.
Anything else? No, sir.
That's all I had. If any-
Well, now,
anybody else
we do have a bill from you,
Yes, there is a Westler invoice.
Westler invoice, and this is on your December, it's December 22nd bill for November 1st to the 30th. We've not seen this before, right? No.
I don't think so.
You didn't have this, Sharon, in the, at the end of the year, did you?
No, I just, no,
Okay.
it didn't come until,
Okay, no, that's okay, I just, because we had
but,
that.
and I don't know where it's gonna be paid yet, because Jeremy hasn't told me. I talked to him, but,
I think historically, the Westler invoices have come out of ESER.
Yes, all right, usually. Yeah. So we'll have additional paperwork on that as well. Yeah. Okay, but we can go ahead and entertain the motion to pay the Westler Engineering the bill for November, $4,592.80. Is there a motion to do that? Okay, is there a second? I'll second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign, okay. I think that is all we have on your side.
Yes, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay, Miss Emily, thank you.
You ready to talk stormwater?
Yeah.
Okay. We did not have a payout from the contractor this month because they were on a cruise and didn't get it to me in time, so.
Lucky them, lucky them.
They emailed me today and asked if they could still submit it, and I told them no, because I didn't have time to review it, and I didn't want the same issue that we had last month. So they will be combining their December and January work into one payout at the end of this month, but you guys will have to the February meeting. As far as construction, substantial completion was supposed to be December 15th, and they still have quite a bit of work left to do. We have 2 items that we've added to the contract. We have the inlet at Sycamore and Highland that we authorized in FTM 3. And then we have the sanitary sewer repair on Mulberry Street that we just authorized maybe a week or so ago in FTM 5. So those 2 items, I have presented change order number 1, to cover the additional cost for those items. So the inlet on Sycamore and Highland was, we couldn't make the existing ground work and make the sidewalk and curb ramp in that area compliant with the ADA regulations and still provide proper drainage for Highland. And so we have to add a stormwater inlet on Highland in that low spot. And so we talked about this in a meeting or 2 ago.
You guys all
Yeah.
have a
We
copy.
talked about no bugs.
No bugs. So all of that work is covered in contract pay items except for the T connection for the new storm line connecting into the culvert that they just installed under Highland, under that approach. And so change order 1 has a new item 34 called T connection to cover that cost. And then the sanitary sewer repair on Mulberry, when the contractor was installing the new storm sewer, he cut a sanitary sewer main and didn't notice it until, I believe the garage had a sewer backup, is that correct?
Yes.
And so then they dug back down and found that sanitary sewer main. So to repair that connection, the storm sewer has, the top of the storm sewer is right in line with that sanitary sewer, so there was no way to go around it. So they're gonna have to drop the sanitary line underneath of our storm sewer. And to do that, they're gonna have to put in a new manhole and use that to drop underneath of the storm sewer. So we have that sanitary sewer repair, and the contractor has estimated, or he has quoted, $7,145 to do that repair. That will cover all of his labor and the new manhole and the new pipe, the new sanitary sewer pipe. The only thing that's not in that $7,145 is any pavement restoration. That will be covered in the contract pay items when they come out and do all the rest of their paving. So I guess those two items are in that change order one, and that I've presented for you guys to review.
We've had to drop down on some others too,
On water lines, not sewer, and
So this,
whether your sewer is out, I don't have any idea, I mean, why it runs, it's just kind of past the alley to the west, and of course the building is to the east, so,
right?
right?
It was just there.
Yes, it was just there.
somebody put it there years ago. Okay, so, the change order one, $7,465, right?
Yes,
And that includes the $7,145
that's the $320 for the T connection,
plus the $725.
plus
or
the $7,145 for the sanitary
So-
sewer. Yes.
This is change order one, and, okay, gotcha. I was confused on it.
One other thing with the sanitary sewer repair, they have asked to extend the contract by 10 days in order to get that material and to do that work. So that's also in that change order that I presented, to extend the substantial completion date from December 15th to December 25th. Now, obviously, they're still not going to meet that because they haven't done this work yet, but we still need to work out the rest of the contract dates. They just asked for 10 days for the sanitary sewer repair.
Okay, is there a motion to accept or to approve change order number one, $7,465?
I'll make a motion to pay it.
Thank you. Is there a second? There's a lot involved in that. The drawings. Okay, discussion. All those in favor say aye. Okay. Motion passes. Okay, Ms. Emily, what else have you got?
Okay, so with the approval of that change order, they are planning to have delivery of those, the structures and pipe, I believe sometime this week, and then they'll get started on it, weather permitting. The contractor emailed me this afternoon and said, they're planning on starting this work on Thursday. They will not work if there is a significant amount of precipitation in the forecast or if temperatures are not expected to rise out of single digits. Right now, the forecast has the temperatures well above single digits, but there's over a 30% chance of rain every day for the next 10 days. So they're not sure when they're going to be out here. They're watching the weather, and they're supposed to let me know in advance before they send somebody out here. They also have lots of spots of sidewalk around their projects that they're trying to do as the weather's nice. They are not supposed to leave sidewalk, but they're not supposed to install sidewalk when it's raining, and they're not supposed to leave it when it's dropping below freezing. So they've got to watch the weather and plan that. So they're going to be coming out sporadically. When they are coming out, they're supposed to let me know so that I can have Robbie or another inspector from Westler on site to watch them.
Thank you.
The other thing, they still have all of their paving to do, and they cannot do that until the asphalt plants reopen in the spring. So we are keeping on them with that, and they will get that scheduled, and they think that they'll be done with that within a couple of weeks, once the asphalt plants are open. So I'm keeping on them with that. Then they still have a lot of cleanup and restoration to do once the ground thaws out and they can get seeded and grading. Right now, the contract has final completion May 1st, so we should still be able to meet that. That's not a problem. The only thing is that they are past their substantial completion date, so we'll just need to discuss how we want to handle that. If we want to extend the contract, and we can talk about that at another meeting. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Anybody have any questions for Emily on the storm grant? Walter? No? Ed? No. Okay.
There were some concerns that you sent me an email
Uh-huh.
on. Are you
So I
satisfied with
thank
them?
you for the rest of it.
Okay.
And you will, and when they come back, you will have the inspector, right?
Yes, yes. And Andrew and I drove around the town today, and I have a list of some other things that I want the contractor to address. So they're gonna get that list tomorrow.
Sounds like you're on it. Okay. So we do have 2 invoices from you, correct?
Yes.
One is their November bill for $15,960. I'll make a motion that we go ahead and pay the storm. This comes out of our, does this come out of our match or does this come out of the grant?
I think you're paying us out of the grant.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. Okay, motion to pay the $15,960.88 plus the second one for $5,000 on the construction phase. Correct?
Yeah, the 5,000 is my time and the 15,000 and change is the inspector's time.
Okay. Well, okay, plus others.
Yeah, they were
I've got a
saying,
question.
you should be the inspector then.
Well, there's a lot more that there's,
Yeah, I'm not the only one in the office working on it.
yeah.
I have a question. I'm not trying to be difficult, but
No,
you're fine.
I'm having a problem
Fire away.
with $1,294.96 for lodging. How, is this guy, what does he do? Is he the inspector or
So he spends the night in the hotel. And,
where at?
In
you know where
Nashville.
he's staying?
No, I don't.
And he's staying at Salt Creek, it's right here, because it's
Oh,
on
is
this
it?
bill.
Is it on the
It's
bill?
on
He
this
told me
bill.
once, yeah, I don't.
36, it's $900, roughly $900.
Is that a month?
$890.
Yeah, I believe it's, yes.
And-
It would be on a monthly basis.
And,
That is, he's staying at Salt Creek Inn.
and travel is $835. Paying his gas act.
So it's billed at the NDOT
What
rate
is-
for, so you, it's 54 cents a mile.
Yeah.
You're in Brown County, right? Is that what
It's a-
I just don't, I'm just amazed.
So
So
that's,
he's been on site almost every single day since.
Almost
September.
every single day?
Well,
You better be on site every day according
They
to
have been
this.
rained out and then he goes home and doesn't charge. So it's only the nights that so he'll come in on Monday and we'll stay the night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. So that he can be on site Monday through Friday. He's usually on site for 50 hours a week.
I don't believe that. Yeah. 50 hours a week. I don't know. I just think that's 2130.88 a month. I don't know. And he's from Evansville? Is this where this guy's?
Yes, he's out of our Evansville office.
You couldn't get anybody at your office to, closer? We've got
We
pretty
have
much-
inspectors all over and this is standard that we.
This is the closest inspector you guys had for us.
That's a very good question. I don't know. I mean, that's something that we would, if you had, if the town has a concern with that, we would talk about that internally.
Could you talk about it internally for me?
Sure.
I'm
give
not
me a
trying to
penny
get.
apple.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
I'm trying to watch out for the town's money.
Absolutely.
I really am.
I don't.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
Any question, we are your client, we work for you.
Exactly.
When you have concerns, we want to hear about it.
That's one of my main concerns.
And just to let you know, we have, I can't remember the exact number, I think it was $68,000 was our budget for this inspector, and we are not at that budget, we're still well under. So, we're not going to exceed that amount. This is all things that we had agreed to in our contract with you. We'll still talk about it in person, but these are all things that we had agreed to with our contract with you, and we're still well under our budget. So I'm hopeful that at the end of the job that we will have money left over. And this is being billed, we're billing you hourly for his time, and then reimbursable expenses, which are the lodging and things like that. And so we won't charge you for the full amount if we don't use the full amount. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just think it's kind of,
We're gonna talk about it internally.
yeah, internally, the internal thing.
We
I appreciate
understand,
it.
we understand your concern with somebody coming from our Evansville office. We have an office in Indianapolis.
That's
We are
where-
close to you. We probably should be charging the mileage from Indianapolis to Morgantown and not Evansville. So that's what I had in mind when I was saying we talk about it in general.
Okay, well, we appreciate that.
I'm
Is
glad I
that-
brought that up, because you wouldn't have brought it up to us.
Is that?
Hello?
That's your concern though, correct?
Yeah, mine, yes.
Very good, Pam. Very good. Well, I still have a motion out there to pay them. There are 2 invoices though. We might see what they work out. $15,960.88 plus the $5,000. I made the motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Is there a discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I,
There you go. That's it. Okay, anything else, Emily?
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, I think that's probably it. The only other thing we have on those is the Kenna, right? We have an invoice from Kenna for their monthly on grant administration on the stormwater for $5,000. So, is there a motion to pay that $5,000?
I'll make a motion to pay Virginia $5,000.
Okay, and this comes out of our match, correct, Sharon? Yeah, okay. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Uh,
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Motion carried, and thank you, kids.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
Oh, you too.
Yeah. Just because.
Okay.
Yeah, they get big motherfuckers.
Thank you.
Bye.
I have minutes from 3 meetings in December, regular 5th meeting, the 19th, and then the year-end meeting on the 29th. You received copies of those minutes, or were there any additions or corrections? Okay, those minutes will stand approved as submitted. Financial, Sharon? Yeah, we'll go through those.
The first thing is the approval on the invoice. Do you approve these
Oh, the
invoices?
invoice, we can do that first, sure.
Um,
We have invoices that are in your stack from utility
Utility
supply. These just, looks like this, says 2016 at the top circle. 2016 at the top and circle. So, looking at this, we approved the big ones, right?
We approved the 1,500, it's been paid, but all these, the 1,033.10, the 17,1859, the 10,1897, and the 679.51, I didn't have, so we need to approve these. We'll go ahead and pay them. Now, I wrote paid down here at the bottom. These are the ones that I paid in the last 2 months.
And those are not included in
No,
this.
no, this was a separate statement that I received after our meeting.
So, the top one. Jeff, are any of these things that would be charged
Two of
back
them was I presented
to
last
storm?
month.
No, they were, no, the ones that were presented last month were the 1158.40 and the 2412.60.
Well, there was two, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there was 2, but they aren't these. These are ones that I didn't
No,
have.
well, the two that were approved were not necessarily storm up, well, it wasn't. When I installed that valve right up here to Blue and that shot Hotel, and they lowered that one line, and then plus the new fire hydrants, but those were approved last month, so I don't know if they're even, I think I put the locations down at the bottom of them, didn't I?
Yeah, 2 of them said water, 1 of them says storm.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, you have it on there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is there a motion to pay these utility supply bills?
I'll make a motion to pay these utility supply bills.
Okay, $5,950.17. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All, discussion, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign, okay.
Okay, and then you received a copy of the transfer that I made for the negative balance for the appropriations. They don't have to take a vote or anything.
I don't think so.
No.
But this is just for
But
your
this-
records.
This is it reflected in the
Mhm.
appropriation report, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I think we did a darn good job because we came out on budget with only 7% left. That's darn good. So those that money that we get back for next year, that was a pretty good guess.
So this is for you to keep, and it just shows the, I transferred from one line to another.
And this is our year-end appropriation, right?
Yeah, but it's not completely, I haven't closed out year end or anything like that, but it's, yeah.
That's what it should
Okay, the revenue report, I don't think, do you have any questions? There isn't anything that,
be.
I
Yeah.
is there any questions? I don't
Nope.
think there is any,
That's still that's last year, right? Yeah, we still, okay.
okay. And then the appropriations, you can see that there is several that have zero balances, and those were probably included on the transfer of funds.
Okay, so that takes us to fund report, right?
Yes, the fund report, and I did the transfers for the payroll, so you can see that it came out to zero end of December.
Next time around, we did one to Sharon, one to Lee, one to Mark. Okay. Oh, that's right. I put this together off the fund report that you had. Shows where we started in 2012, where our budgets were, and 2012, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So it shows the progression through the years. At the end of the year in 2012, in all combined accounts, we had 431,000. And at the end of 2016, we had 860,000. And out here in this last column, I've got what we've pledged as our match for the paving grant. I talked to them yesterday, and whatever they call that, request for payment it's all been signed off on by NDOT, and the request for payment has been sent in for the 82,500. So you should be receiving that soon.
Okay. Do we have to do, okay, I would have a question, I just wonder if we had to do an ordinance. I've heard different people say something like that on the listserv about, do we have to do any kind of special ordinance for that, to spend that money or anything like
For
that?
which money?
For the paving money.
Yeah, once we have it, we have to appropriate it.
Okay,
When we have it, we then have to appropriate it, and that frees it up to be spent.
We
We
appropriated it.
appropriated it.
I thought we did too.
We've already appropriated it in our budget.
Then that is what we need to do.
Okay.
I think probably a lot of them were.
It came in.
It came in last year.
So quickly, right? I mean, you got approval, and within a couple of weeks it was there, so we appropriated it so we could spend it last year, because it wasn't in last year's budget, it was added to it. But if we've got it appropriated already in 17's budget, then that's done.
Okay.
But this shows the growth of MVH from 16,000 to 100,000. Road and Street, which we'll be using most of that, not most of it, but a lot of it, on the paving. But we still have in our, well, it needs to go up one, but in that last column, the 88,000 goes up into, should be up the line above, into the economic development money, and the 37,000 in public safety, with payroll showing zero. I got off on my lines here. But we do have enough money that we can pay our match, and yeah, so I want to make you guys aware of where we are with that.
I bet there isn't a town in the state whose financial condition is improved percentage-wise that dramatically
Oh, yeah.
in
Mhm.
5 years, 4 years' time.
Oh, we paid off a lot of stuff.
That's remarkable. I don't even know how it's possible.
Okay, I'm going to present my bond, you have a copy of that,
Everybody's got a copy of your bond.
and, do they have to vote to approve it or accept it, or is it just that I make them aware?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They can.
So I just wanted to make you,
Yeah.
you've got a copy of it.
I think, yeah, you're supposed to deliver to them.
We still have
Sounds slightly
payroll.
familiar, I'll check.
We still have payroll.
Oh, yes.
We still have the pay file.
Mhm.
You don't think they did?
Does anybody have any questions on pay file, on payroll? Is there a motion to accept the pay file here?
I'll make a motion to accept pay.
Oh,
Okay. Is there a second? All
Go
those-
back your way.
Is there a second? Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Okay, we got payroll, claims, none did, we got that done. Okay, adjustments on your water customers, wastewater.
Okay, the first one I would like to present is for 330 Highland Street, Apartment B, which is a carpenter's. It's not a wastewater adjustment, it's a billing adjustment. The water went through Apartment A back to Apartment, through Apartment B back to A. There was a leak back in A, that bill has been taken care of. We just need to do a billing adjustment on Apartment B. And I've got a lot of numbers down, but it's a $940.33 billing adjustment that would go to the accounts. And it would leave a credit of $149.45 because they have made payments.
I make a motion that we make that adjustment for 940.33 on Apartment B. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, your next one?
Okay.
Wait a minute, question. In order for this not to happen again, I mean, how we correct it?
It was corrected today.
Okay.
The weather temperature finally got up.
Temperature got up today.
Yeah.
We had
And
a heat wave, got a
I
little heat wave
had
going.
subservice on the couch, and bring their little back trailer in and everything.
Okay.
And we're just waiting for the temperature. We're good to go.
Okay, your next one?
Okay, so this is for 510 Hoosier Street, Tanya Bowling. The requested amount is $109.38. It did happen for a few months. She kept calling and asking why her bill was going up, and then finally they found it in the main line in the yard. It has been fixed. That page, I couldn't, we rolled over a new year, I couldn't get it on this one. But it is back to normal, so it has been fixed.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion for 109 credit, 109.38 credit on 510 Hoosier?
That's the one.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay.
Okay, and then 350 North Church Street, Steve Young, he had a break out in his yard again. The amount of adjustment requested is $32.78. He found it pretty quick. He did. He came down that day and said, holy.
Yeah, around his yard. Okay, is there a motion to $32.78 on 350 North Church?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. And, everybody else, aye. Okay. Those guys in that table. Okay, we got 259 Pine Street.
Yes, it was in the backyard, it was where the line came into the house. The requested amount is $46.99.
This was repaired by Gray Brothers.
Yes,
Okay.
and on the back, it has been fixed. It gets back to a minimum.
Is there a motion on 259 Pine Street?
I'll make a motion.
$46.99. Okay, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Credit card payment, Missy.
Okay, so we currently use PayGo to accept credit card payments. We were approached by People's State Bank that they offer merchant services through them, so I've been back corresponding with the gentleman in charge, and I kind of just did a breakdown of the benefits, you know, of both. And currently, PayGo charges the customer 3%. If we were to go through merchant services, we would set a flat rate if we wanted to have the fee for the customer. The fee for the town through PayGo, we currently don't incur a fee. Through merchant services, if they were to do a face-to-face transaction, if they came in and saw me or wanted to pay over the phone, we would be charged 10 cents per whatever their fee is, you know, so on and so forth.
Is that 10% or 10 cents?
10%, sorry, 10%. And then and that's for Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. All other cards are 20%.
So if somebody makes a $100 payment, we're charged 10?
Yes. With PayGo, we do not incur a fee. Incur a fee. Yeah, the terminal for PayGo, we already have merchant services. We would have to lease or purchase one for $295. No setup fees for either, programming fees. Currently with PayGo, we are not charged back if a customer's payment doesn't go through. If we went through merchant services, we would be charged $15. Early termination fee, we don't have through PayGo. Merchant services would charge us $50. And we could put them both on the website.
So PayGo can be on the website?
Yes, and I've already been in correspondence with him. He said whenever we're ready, just call him and he'll get me the information for our website.
Now, do you have the capability to take charge of the office now?
I do, yes.
Okay.
And I accept them.
I don't know if any of you guys are interested in that or not. That's
Does it
not
make it
good.
easier for you, Becky?
No, PayGo is just as easy. Yeah, it's just, we were approached by People's State Bank, so I wanted to present it to the council.
Good. Okay, we're set up that way now?
Yeah, we currently accept credit card payments, yes.
But you have to come in and present your credit card, or?
No, you can get on their website and pay as
Okay.
well through PayGo.
Okay.
But this will happen, you click, when our website's out, click on our website, you can pay your bill there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which also, I don't have a quote because everybody from Keystone took a vacation around the holidays. But they do offer Invoice Cloud, which is an e-billing. There would be a small setup fee for the town. I don't have that. I can present that at the next meeting if you guys are interested. But we would be able to offer e-bill through the website. We could still print paper bills, but if someone would opt in to receiving the e-bill.
Yeah, go for that.
Yeah, go ahead and then cost it any.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I can get her name.
I just wanted to get your approval to get the quote. I should have by the next meeting.
Okay, you're welcome.
We
Thank
do need to
you.
approve Sharon's bond under,
Oh, okay.
under Title V. I don't know the other place to do either, but clerk, treasurer, marshal of the town. The bond is to be approved by the town legislative body, so.
Who's the marshal's mom?
Well, he has, do we have insurance
We have a blanket bond.
policy, right?
Yeah.
We have a blanket bond, and I have my own bond,
Right.
Becky has her own bond.
So if you have a blanket bond, I'm not sure, are you covered by the blanket bond?
It's just a $10,000
Oh,
bond.
got it.
It's a low bond.
Okay.
But the marshal doesn't have one, and
But he's covered under the blanket bond,
Yeah, okay. That's
right?
all right.
I guess he just can't do more than $10,000.
Well, we may need to check into that then. So the total coverage is 10,000?
That's just for the separate blanket bond.
Okay.
But we have something separate, don't we, with the liability insurance?
Liability.
Yeah, but that's, so
That's
for now,
That's different.
we need to approve
Yeah.
the bond, the clerk treasurer's bond is submitted.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we accept the clerk treasurer's bond as submitted. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okey dokey. DPW. What do you got?
Well, standard pretty much covered the things on the water issues. Of course, we, as stated earlier, also, the replacement of the center line going through two different meters at the same time, that's been fixed today. Some valve boxes, some more valve boxes have been backed out, so we can check those. I do need to see if the council will authorize the the cell phone stipend from, of course, obviously with us somewhere to Travis. to get
No, it should be.
Yes.
You have to vote on that, or then you just cover over?
I'm sorry, I was reading this.
The cell phone stipend?
Just because I got a new employee, it's got to be voted on.
No, I think we're just providing, we didn't specify for just individuals, did we?
I don't believe so.
I remember that was.
Full-time employee.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or is he getting one? Travis?
You get all of these,
Huh?
I think it's the same as everybody else.
Okay, you know,
35 a month.
I know, but is he on 9-day probation? Or where are they?
Yeah, but he still has to have a cell phone.
Okay. I just-
No, this is just for his cell
Trying to
phone.
save him?
Yeah, well,
Stand by.
we need more money.
Yeah.
We need more money.
Just do it.
Okay, Mr. Downing.
This is stand by.
Yeah, wait, get your roller coaster out. What else do you got?
Okay. See, make sure I got all the good stuff out of here. All right, as you're aware, which these things were budgeted now, I mean, they were just, the money was appropriated, not necessarily that it had to be approved or anything, but I know I had, out of the 3 funds, I had divided those up for figuring a dump truck at around $60,000. We have since rethought that and have come across the dump truck. It's a 92 International,
92?
92. The engine there is something that apparently is around 200,000 miles, 170, 200,000 miles that goes wrong with this engine. Rick Pitcher currently has it. He's going to rebuild the engine, go through the brake lines. Walter, Mark, and Jeff have all 3 looked at it, along with myself. And to me, and get their opinions, but for a 92 with that mileage and everything, it appears to be a well taken care of truck. The cab on it is fine, no dings, no dents. There's a rust spot in the bed, and there's also a rust spot starting in the bed where it looked like it had been hit with a fork or something. So, I mean, I would like to, I mean, the paint's a little dull, I would like to repaint it, but actually it wouldn't need repainted. So Raymond is going to rebuild the motor, go through the brake lines, and then one of the stipulations would be that we would drive it and check it out because there's a transmission issue and the hoist. But so we're looking at right around $16,000. Get these guys' opinion on what versus 6. I don't know.
It's a 92, right?
Yes.
And you want 16,000 for it?
Yes.
And we can get a new one for 60.
That's not a full size one.
No, I know.
Is our old truck just put, the old dump truck it is?
Yeah, it's down right now with some brake line, no headlights, and I don't know what it would cost to, I mean, if you put over $1,000 in it, you just, I mean,
What year is that?
it's an 89. I know we're not going up that many years, and we're going up a lot more miles, I agree there, but unfortunately, it's just that.
I guess 16 is probably a little bit more than what I thought we were looking at, but,
Well, we're probably, if it checks out all right, we're probably looking at, if the rebuild and the brake lines check out all right, we're probably looking at closer to 13. But I'm putting a pad in a little bit in case he runs into anything else, and plus, we paint it, not, I mean, him sitting down there, and we have it painted at our leisure.
I don't know.
I want to paint a dump truck. You're gonna be trash. I don't know. How much is the painting cost? I want a budget.
For
Jerry,
rust, for
no.
rust and everything.
What is
Paint
it?
it for rust. So you don't.
Well, I've got Rust-Oleum spray paint.
I do too.
Well, you paint it, I don't care.
I was gonna say it's gonna get banged up anyway.
It just got brought to my attention, it's whatever you guys wanna check out or whatever.
Have you guys looked at it yet, Walter? What do you think?
I think for 13,000, we could do a lot of work to the old
I'd have to take another look at that for 15 or
Okay.
14 or whatever.
Well,
Because that's just more money than I thought, we were gonna be looking at, because it is at 92, right?
yeah,
It's an older truck. And,
well, that's fine.
yeah.
How many miles does, old Betsy have on her?
Like 20-something.
What, ours?
Yeah.
Well, this is a no-brainer. It should, 20,000 versus 200,000?
260 something.
Oh. I thought
Oh,
you
was
said-
it 260? Well.
I think I'll just leave now.
Yeah. Well, you got a gal, right?
Hey, what is, okay,
Well, I can get a price on total
Yeah.
first. The cab's about gone on Betsy, so we need to do that.
Or Betsy. The cat's about,
Yes,
you can put a lawn chair.
Well, let's let me think about this a little bit.
that's fine.
And take another look at that. That is just more money than what I thought we'd be talking
I
about.
mean, that's one offer that was just, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I mean.
Because sooner or later, it's gonna have tires on it too.
Well, it's got really good tires.
It does now?
Yes. Yeah. There's only one tire that would be questionable, and no more than they use it,
Yeah.
5 years, 6 years. The sheet metal's really good, and the bed's really, the metal in the bed's really good. The only thing that I would do is for the check, I'd check with Joey or someone on that particular engine, because I know there's buses that's had that exact engine in it.
Does it have a DT?
Yeah, well, it's got well, I don't know for sure what it is, I didn't look at the tag. But it's the same type of engine that is in a lot of the buses.
Yeah, if it's when we're talking about Cherokee, if it's a DT 466, I mean, it is a good engine. But most of the time, 200,000, you wouldn't have to tear them down. Because they got what they call a B10 life on them, or 10% of them would have to be torn down. And it's usually like 300,000 miles or something.
Well, that's fine, I haven't really checked, I just know that Jared looked at spot one that, which the exact year on it, he actually turned me on to it. And
Yeah.
he paid like 18 for his, he's got.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, they turned me on to this.
Did it come from the same place, or?
No,
Okay,
no.
all right.
Where Jared get his?
Some old boy in Brown County
Oh.
just happened to fall into it and,
This one looks like it come out of the south. This one looks like it come out of the south. It's not bad, because it's even had a blade on the front. There's no, you can tell there's not a lot of rust, a lot of deep rust on it.
you haven't seen a
For
lot of
that
salt,
year.
is what you're saying?
It's not seen a lot.
Not seen a lot of salt.
Hasn't been broken down very good.
Peggy has something.
Well, get us sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I was just gonna throw this out. I am married to a licensed dump truck mechanic. So,
Oh.
yeah.
oh.
And if you wanted, which, I mean, he's gonna kill me for this, but to look at your old dump truck and tell you what it's gonna take, versus
Yeah,
getting
I
a
don't,
new
I mean,
one.
I
I'm
got
just
fondness for
throwing that out
Betsy, I just
there.
don't want her
Thank
to
you.
leave me stranded or anything.
I mean, 'cause he would
When I
look
pulled her out
at
the
it
other
for free
day and
just
I
to
could
tell
hardly
you.
stop, I got
Free,
scared. I
yeah.
thought the old gal was rebelling on me.
Okay, so we're not talking about old Betsy.
Okay, all right, we'll talk about that today, okay.
Are you done? Are you done? No? Oh, no. More money. More money.
Okay, as signed last year to our leader, we can, like in the contract, it was stipulated when we bought the new Mini, we could replace our current Mini to get a brand new one with the same equipment and everything on it, for $3,000. It moves us up to, so that keeps us out of, any repair costs or anything like that.
How old's our Minnie now? 2
Year.
years?
It's a
Year?
year.
old.
So every year we're doing this? You're gonna ask for that day?
Well, for a $70,000 piece of equipment,
It's all the same equipment,
uh,
in the bush hog and everything, I'll work on it.
Is anything wrong with it yet?
Do what?
Is there any problem with it yet?
No.
I would go for that deal.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's only offered to municipalities because
Yeah.
municipalities don't put that many hours on them.
Yeah.
So that's why they,
Oh, I understand why they did it.
yeah,
And how much was it cost?
3,000.
That isn't bad.
You get a brand new machine, $3,000.
yeah, for $70,000.
You said your fibers already traded theirs? They've already done it?
Yeah, they've already done it. They actually done it a little bit early because the salesman had he had a buyer for it, so he took it a little early.
I do that.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I do that.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. What else have you got, Mr. Gates?
Yeah. Well, we had talked about it before, the skid steer. Well, now it was in the budget too.
Did Santa not come see you?
No.
Skid steer. Listen, you're not talking budget, you're talking that wish list. Okay,
Well,
skid steer.
okay. It is gonna have, it's a 10, I believe. It's a 10. Versus Caterpillar 270 series. Basically, the tracks are getting to, I mean, we're gonna have to be spending about $78,000 on it within the next year or so. I'm sure you're familiar with it, you know.
Yeah,
Caterpillar.
it could be
Yeah.
10, 12.
Yeah, you're right. And I just wanted to entertain the offer. I mean, just so I'm not spending my wheels, at least I get your blessing to get some bids. And I also found out that Bobcat, which I know Caterpillar will offer the same thing, because Trafalgar just did it.
Oh, dear.
Well, I'm telling you what I know. They're going to offer the same thing on a skid steer as they do on the Mini.
Oh, okay. Well, can you bring those numbers into the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, if
We
we,
can always talk about it. I can't wait to get that number.
well, now, because if we spend 10 or 12,000 on that, you know, because it sooner or later it's gonna lay down.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got an older machine, and we got 10 more grand in. Yeah, you better get some numbers.
Okay.
What else?
You gotta go with me?
What else?
I mean, you may have to put your foot out the door on that dump truck.
Yeah, we are down a dump truck.
Well.
But I think we could borrow somebody's if we have something that comes up for a while.
Okay.
Are you done?
I'm done, unless anyone has any questions on anything else.
Okay, police department. Sir?
For December. The total number of calls we took care of were 53. Previous year were 29.
Wow.
It's been a busy December. The citations, state statutes, 3, 13 warnings, 1 town ordinance ticket issued, and no warnings issued. We had 4 arrests, 3 were for warrants, 1 was out of new charge. And all the training, I spent probably 3 or 4 days submitting all the trainings. All the training records are in. Everyone's completed all the training hours required and we're ready to start a new year. We've been updating our business contact list through some of the night shift, and they had some issues where they had some open doors or had a problem, and no one knew who to get hold of. And so I've put out a new letter and a cover letter and a form, and I'm going to have Connors and our reserve, Derek, approve. This is a good way for Derek to meet all the business owners and get familiar with a lot of businesses in town. And I'm going to have Connors oversee that project, and Derek will, he and Connors will be updating that list. Recycle bin. I attached the letter.
It's on the very last page.
On the very last page. The day after, Monday after Christmas, I was working, and and looked on the railroad tracks, and there was a bag of wrapping paper in between the railroad tracks. It was a little windy that day, and it blew up there, and I thought it came out of this dumpster here by the fire department. And the next day, I discovered that there was quite a pile of trash on the east side of the dumpster, the recycle bin, and it was the same type bag and the same type of stuff in it. So I looked in it, and there was a Christmas card envelope in there with an address and a return address on it. So anyway, kind of got the wheels turning, and I thought, well, we'll move our camera to this location, and we'll start checking through the camera and the video, who's using it and what they're putting in there. So in a roundabout way, I'm asking the public that uses this recycle bin to help us. And anyone that's finding items and envelopes and things like that are obviously household trash, if they could help us and give us the information. I met with the prosecutor, Deputy Prosecutor Bob Klein, and he told me that he would definitely entertain the thought of filing charges, and probably in that instance it would be for littering, because they're actually just throwing the trash in the recycle bin, not where it belongs. It's not in where the household trash is supposed to go. So, in a conversation I had with Becky, she asked me if we want to mail this out. Well, my initial thought was, well, I'm not sure we want to mail it out. Then I got to thinking about it, and to all of our water customers and all the people that are mailing this here, we'd like to protect the use of that recycle bin for our people here in Morgantown. So I'm not so sure it's not a bad idea. I think I don't know what the cost would be for this man to mail this letter out, asking people for their help. But I believe two things. I think that initially, when people realize that we're looking at it a little closer, and that even there may be some total innocent victims not knowing that that's not a trash bin. There may be a few. But at any rate, this does serve notice to them that it is a recycle bin and not a trash bin, and gives them some time to take care of the issues at home. So therefore, I just thought I would present the letter and see what everyone's thoughts are. And I'm going to follow up with the letter that I found. I believe, Joellen, you said you found some identifying envelopes in there as well. And I'd like to do those on just a case-by-case basis. But I also, by moving the camera, we can identify with, if someone says I was there 2 different times that day, and it wasn't there the first time, and it was there the second time, then we can review the camera card and see who had visited that site at that period. We moved it. We had our camera on South Church Street because some complaints, not a few, but it is a few, that there were people going the wrong way on Church Street from the south, from 135, cutting through. And it was there for about 3 weeks. And now some of the time it was, the street was shut down. But there was only one vehicle and one moped that went well, if you count bicycles, but we're not counting bicycles going the wrong way. But one moped and one vehicle on that street. So the camera verified the fact that it's not a problem at this time. It may be something that we want to explore later when the weather warms up and as the traffic picks up, September and October. But at any rate, the little cameras are proving out to be pretty good source of information. And after we move from the recycle bin, I plan on moving it to the ball line.
Do you think you need a second camera?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I know.
But this one has really been,
You like
this
You
one,
like this one?
5,000, I went, and I thought the camera's gonna be maxed out. We put a 32 gig hard drive in it, or a card in it, and I thought, it's gonna be maxed out in 3 weeks, because read and
Yeah, Strong.
They were down there working every day, so there was a lot of motion going on. So I pulled it down, last Wednesday, I think, and 5,104 pictures. And it was still taking pictures. It took pictures of me taking it down. And took pictures of me shutting it off in the office, you know. And so it has some, we could get the license plate number of the truck that went the wrong way on Church Street. It's that good. We can zoom in and use that. And we could, certain windshields that are more straight up and down, we can identify drivers in it coming the other way. So it's really a good quality camera for, I was a little over $100. But, you know, and also I know that Edinburgh and, I think it was Edinburgh, someone recently had a bunch of stolen equipment at their DPW. And I think it might be, before I moved to Ball Diamond, before that season, I may move it to the back of the DPW, just to keep an eye on. You know, this is not the busy time of the year for most construction people. And check that dump truck. But anyway, I know we probably don't need a motion on this, but I at least want the board to know what's going on in the event that, you know.
How much was that camera?
It was $120.
That was it.
Yeah, I got it on sale, or more like a Black Friday sale, and since then I've seen them on Amazon for $145 or whatever, but, and not that this means anything, I have to work the sales tax on it because I had to buy it, you know, without a tax number, but, the camera is a really good little camera, it's got a solar, cell on it where it charges, and it keeps it going, but that's a lot of pictures, 5,100.
Yeah.
Why don't we authorize him to purchase a separate camera not to exceed like $200, and then he can purchase it and put it up wherever you want to put it up.
Well, as useful as, you know, I don't think you've seen a lot of the photos on it, but I think
That's the ones we were.
the DPW and
Right,
certain areas would be a good location to have some constant surveillance. And with the back of the DPW with no more motion that's going on there, you wouldn't have to change the card in it, but once a month.
Take you a while to look at 5,100 photos, yeah.
Yeah, probably. We've got a man for that.
They got it. Okay, is that your motion?
My motion is to.
Okay, purchase a second camera.
Not to exceed $200.
Not to exceed
I'll
$200.
second that.
There's a second here. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, okay.
You know, in Jeff's letter there, what she showed to me, and I can't remember if it's sitting in there too, but and people, they just don't realize that there are signs up there, but they don't take time to read it because they're kind of off. Every time somebody dumps a bag in there that's in a trash bag, that just takes up space because they don't even separate that stuff when it gets to the recycling. If it's in a trash bag, they just pitch it and throw it into the regular trash. And I know people think that, you know, we're collecting everything and it's going to be nice and neat for them, but it has to be separate. I mean, we're the one in Martinsville, they've got like 3 different dumpsters, and they really don't have that big of a problem. And you have to separate glass, paper, plastic. They've got 3 separate dumpsters for each one of those items that people actually go and put in each one of those items. And here, we take everything, and again, I don't know if we just need to reinforce as far as knowledge that that you put it in a trash bag, it's just taking up space.
Yeah,
They're just
it's
gonna
trash.
take it and throw it in the trash. They're not gonna.
As far as they're concerned, it's trash.
Yeah.
And I think this is a way to, and in fact, I think in both cases here, that the envelopes that you found have been people that live outside Morgantown.
And one more down,
They're,
Mr. Fountain.
you know, they're not residents of Morgantown.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think anybody has a problem with you sending this letter. Does anybody have a problem
No,
with sending this
that's
letter?
a good idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else? So I just want to, real quickly, you know, I like to look at the numbers. You had one arrest and one warning, and Officer Connors had one warning, and Officer Swank had 3 arrests, 4 citations, 1 ordinance, 2 state statutes, and 10 warnings. Is that right?
Correct.
Then you had Zupan, he had a warning. So, okay. And all your reserves got their hours in.
All except Ashley, and she's working at the post office, and busy time of the year in December for the post office. I've got a couple of messages for her to call me, and she hasn't gotten back with me. Hopefully I'll know her status by the next meeting.
Okay. Okay. Ordinance 2016, second reading. You were,
Okay.
yeah.
This was adopted on first reading at your December 29th special meeting. Discovered a mistake. Joelle discovered a mistake. The town marshal's salary was carried over from the last year's ordinance into this one, rather than being increased at the time. It was adjusted when Marshal Decker was hired. And then Sharon realized that we didn't have the part-time deputy and removed that, but I think you had done that before the first reading.
Yeah.
So this is the same ordinance you considered on December 29th. The only change is to correct the salary of the town marshal from $788.80 to $922.80, and the corresponding hourly rate. With that exception, it's presented on second final reading tonight.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt salary ordinance on second reading? So 2017, or 2016-86, last ordinance of last year.
Wouldn't change anything else, whether we have to back up, start over.
Start over?
Just a second, maybe.
The second reading is the
Yeah.
final one. Why, did you have something else?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind on item 1 there, where we're showing 2,000 per member. I'd like to take a look at bumping that to 2,400.
Well, what would, you can do that, but this, it wouldn't impact this. That would be a separate thing, then we just have to put in ordinance, right?
Well, you're just increasing well, we could amend this one, or we could.
Oh, we can
change-
amend this one? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, on second and final reading, we would amend it.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion?
That is.
So
Okay.
then we would be presenting ordinance 2016-6 with 2 changes: increase of the council members' annual compensation from 2,000 to 2,400, and then the correction on the town marshal's salary from 788.80 to 922.80.
Okay. Did you understand that, Walter? Penny? Okay. The motion's out there. Is there a second?
June, December.
Pardon?
We're still going June and December.
Well, well, that's just, that could be a discussion too. I mean, I know some towns that pay monthly.
Yeah.
They pay their council, because I know, didn't you say Mary Beth just pays them every month?
I know they do in Princess Lakes. I'm not sure what we do on it.
I knew you said one of them.
I think it's every meeting, yeah. they do.
So the this,
It doesn't matter.
June and December, would it be a problem if that was quarterly rather than,
No, we just amended in that regard too.
would that be a problem?
No.
Okay. Would that, you want that?
That'd be fine.
So it would be payable quarterly rather than semi-annual?
Are we going to do the
we have.
Yeah,
it's
we'll leave it out, just so it
2016
looks better.
2016-6 in
Just
front
let me
of us.
sign
We
it.
have the motion to change the council pay to 2,400 payable quarterly, and the town marshal pay, what he's currently receiving, 922.80. We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, same sign. Do you have one for me to sign, or?
Well, let's fix it.
Let's fix it, okay. Okay, other old business, I had, since our website is about finished, we talked in the past about codification, and you guys have all seen this book, right? You've all seen the book, codification.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen the book. And I talked with Joe the other day. The price that they quoted us last year, $4,250, they will keep it at that. All the ordinances are reviewed, codified, and organized into up-to-date, easy-to-use book. There are clients in our area. In Indiana, they do just 50 towns. Clients in our area, Nashville, Brooklyn, Princess Lake, Trafalgar, Edinburgh, Barnesville, Columbus, Morgantown, Brown County, and Johnson County. They also serve Indiana Association of Cities and Towns. The price of $4,350. And the process works this way. We give them copies of all of our ordinances. They review them, compare them to Indiana law. Then they provide us with their written research regarding any updating of any ordinances that we have or something they think that we're missing or whatever. They provide us with a rough draft. They talk to us about it. And they can make any changes. And then we have done what we're supposed to do. County ordinances are supposed to be codified. And then also this will be a link on the website. So they will be on the website, and they will be, it also has a search engine where it can be searched by topic or by thing. So I'm asking the council for approval to spend the $4,250. And this, it takes 90 days, so it's not anything, but I'd like to go ahead and get them started. To go ahead and start the codification process with American Legal Publishing Corporation.
Did they say they'd make a pamphlet to go with that?
Yes, they make a pamphlet to go with it. They make the books, so we'll give us several books. We'll get a disc. We'll get, then there will be the link on the website. But it is something that we should have done, but we have not. But with the website, now's a good time to do it. So I'm asking for a motion to do that, $4,250. Codification of our ordinances. Can I get a motion? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, okay. And we need to set, here is, Jeff, if you'll take yours and pass the other one down to Becky, and then here's one for all of you guys. This is a review for Becky and a review for Jeff that we need to do this month. And the way that I'm requesting that you do this, you will see that the review is there. The first page is goals. The second page is a way to review these different categories off of their job description. Exceptional, exceeds, meets, marginal, unsatisfactory. And then I've also included with that a copy of their job description. And I ask that you not discuss this with each other, that you fill out your form individually, give it a lot of thought, fill out the forms individually, then we will come together and meet in executive session prior to, and it takes us about 15-20 minutes to compile our scores, and then meet with them, bring them in one at a time, to go over their yearly review. So my question is, question, for you guys? Now Penny, I know you're off on Monday and Thursday, right? Oh, Wednesday too. Wednesday doesn't work for you, though, does it?
I could do it on Wednesday.
You could? Okay. You want to, could you guys have it done by next Wednesday, the 18th? Could you? Okay, you want to meet next Wednesday, the 18th, we could meet here at 9:30, 9 o'clock. Could you be back by 9? 9 o'clock, you want to meet here at 9 o'clock? And we can do, you guys can talk among yourselves. You have one to fill out yourself, so you bring yourself. You guys can talk among yourselves as far as which one of you wants to go first, and then we'll call the other one to let them know that. Is that okay? So can you advertise that executive session? Lee?
Yeah, tell me again.
Wednesday, the 18th at 9 a.m. here. Job performance review.
And the 18th,
Uh-huh.
not 9,
No,
not 18.
18th, that's Wednesday, the 18th at 9 a.m.
Right.
Pardon? Oh. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, anybody have any other business? I think that was it.
Which
Did you
the
have
golf
any
cart
other-
ordinance.
Oh, the golf
Yeah,
cart.
approved the ordinance.
Yeah, that's right. You
And
guys,
quite a while.
you guys got together on your golf cart ordinance, didn't you? You got it all straightened out? You square it?
You see the last, I sent it to you again.
I did, I tried, that's what was stuck on the printer, I couldn't get that printed off. I was gonna print that off, but I saw the changes,
Right.
and I think that with the explanation,
Okay.
should do it.
So then, there's, I think I made enough copies, Jeff, but I wanted to get it around to you. We've been considering this, I guess what we call golf cart and off-road vehicle ordinance for some time. You guys have seen it in the draft, it's real close to the one that's sent it around. Jeff did a real good job of critiquing this, proofread several different drafts, and pointed out a number of things that needed to be changed. One at our last meeting, you considered this. I think what Jeff spoke about was we had this definition of off-road recreational vehicle under the statute that included vehicles we didn't think we wanted on the road. What we had talked about all along are these things that are called side-by-sides, right? And the definition of off-road recreational vehicle includes a whole bunch of vehicles in addition to those. And so what I've done is kind of written the ordinance the way I had it, but as we go down through the definition section and get to number 5 on page 2, we actually define the term side-by-side as a unique vehicle that meets the definition. That would be a recreational off-road vehicle. Now, recreational off-road vehicle, 65 inches or less in width, or less than 2,000 pounds, designed for travel on at least 4 non-highway or off-highway tires, and designed for recreational use by one or more individuals. It's got to be that. But in a more limited definition, it's got to have a steering wheel, it's got to have non-straddle seating, it's got to have foot controls for throttle and braking, or, this Jeff had suggested this, or adapted throttle and braking controls for use uniquely by handicapped operators, because, as it occurred to Jeff, those really might be some of the folks who would benefit most from being able to drive one of these things on the road, right? And so we want them to be accommodating, and then factory installed passenger seating, or passenger restraints. I went out online to try to see how side-by-side as a sort of defined vehicle was described, and looked at some manufacturer sites, and then just some other sort of discussion sites, and this is consistent with the side-by-side as a term, that these definitions or these characteristics would apply. So we're talking about the side-by-side vehicles and golf carts. And the way the ordinance is written, those are the only 2 types of off-road vehicles that are going to be permitted on the streets of Morgantown. We can't prohibit the assist vehicles, the small, mobile ambulatory vehicles, you know, the rascals, whatever those things are called, for people who need them to assist them. Those are permitted under state statute. But with the exception of those side-by-sides and golf carts, that's all that's going to be permitted. I added a definition for street or highway, which appeared in Title IX of the traffic code. That's number 6, Jeff. That wasn't there before.
I saw that.
And we're going to have a requirement, like we had before, of annual registration, proof of insurance, and all the things that are the same as the old ordinance and the same as the prior drafts of this ordinance that you've seen. So I'll shut up and just say, sort of in summary, we define side-by-side as a vehicle and made clear that that's what we're talking about. So this is 2017-1 on first reading.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept ordinance 2017-1 with these clarifications on our golf cart ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we accept these.
This is first reading only, so we will take this up next meeting. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there a discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay, so we'll have that second reading at our next meeting. Anything else? I think you're done too, okay? Public comment? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.